you ready? Hello and welcome to the Texarcist Live podcast. I am Shane Moore, the Texarcist himself, coming to you straight out of Texas, where everything's bigger in Texas, correct? Tonight we're going to have a great show. It's Monday. Monday, the listener topic Smorgasboard, where listeners choose what topics they want to talk about, they want to discuss, they want to bring up, and no topic is off the table. From A to Z, from one end of the spectrum to the other, shock me. Please, if you can, shock me. Just, your deepest curiosity, maybe your deepest fear, or something that has bothered you for a long time, something that you've questioned for forever. I'm not saying that I have all the answers. I may not be able to answer your question or address the topic, but we'll certainly give it a shot. So, going to send out some invitations to different people, and just going to let you know that if you want to receive the live link to each show, you can message me you can send me an email at thetexarcistpodcast@gmail.com, or you can join our Facebook group, the Texarcist Live Podcast. Just do a search, it'll come up, and just join and I'll let you right in. So, anyway, what is on your mind? I hope that everyone had a great day, a great Monday, and that's why that I'm doing these smorgasbord listener topics, is because Mondays are so brutal. It sucks. Okay, let's just be honest about it. And so why not let the listeners blow off some steam, and just whatever topic, it doesn't matter, as long as it's something to do with the show's niche, the show's genre. From the paranormal to UFOs to cryptozoology to, we discussed the Mandela effect the other night, to the powers of the human mind, the powers of human consciousness, spirituality, anything and everything. Like I said, shock me, stump me, and that's a challenge. So those of you that enjoy a good challenge, step up and speak out. Jacob, my brother from another mother. Damn, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to start paying Jacob. Jacob's like a co-host, man. I usually, call him or, message him, and I'm like, hey, Jacob, are you up? And man, before I can even get the word that, he's like, I'm right here, Doc. Jacob's Wyatt, I'm Doc. So, my brother from another mother. Love you, bro. Big shout out to Jason Ripple. Great guy. And those of you that say otherwise, well, private message me and we'll discuss that. Anyway, what is on your mind? Jacob, you're the only one here right now, so feel free to just cut loose, man. Just let us know what's on your mind. What's in the news today, or what topic today caught your interest, or for me, I know that there's a lot of people that are saying we're maybe going into World War III. What's your take on that, Jacob? Just curious. You said that Iran raised the red flag over the what am I trying to say? Well, they raised the red flag for the first time. I said in history is what I read, and it was of a very, very horrible war to come. My only question about that is, and I never get into politics. I steer clear of religion and politics. Those two creatures have caused more pain, more suffering, more bloodshed than anything else on planet Earth, and I have no use for either one of those entities. But when we're talking about possible World War III, there's different things that have taken place, and there's things that have taken place in the background. Hey, April, glad you're here. Always glad to see April. She's my lucky charm. For those of you that we had a show that back when I was having horrible audio, and every time April was on, hey, it was like Mary Poppins. I mean, it went so smooth, and people said, when April's here, it's just it's just so soothing, and I'm like, they said, she's the lucky charm. I said, well, I know that. I mean, I'm not just friends with anybody. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. April, love you. You're a sweetheart. I'm glad you're here. Okay, Jacob, you say, I think Iran is a threat to Israel, but the only way they're a threat to the United States is if Russia steps in on their behalf. Okay. April, just to let you know, if you didn't hear what I said, was that one topic that's pretty pressing right now is that they're talking about possible World War III, and I just wanted to know, maybe get your thoughts on that, your take, and then I'll give you my take, because there's more to it than meets the eye, and I am 100% American, but right is right and wrong is wrong, and I will speak the truth even when it hurts. And I'm not saying that I'm right, but I just want to point out different things that have taken place, and it kind of paints a picture that's, you can make up your own mind. There's so much So much that goes on. And what is incredible is when you sit back and you watch. It's like when the planes hit the towers, 9/11. Okay, well, as soon as was just like not even 24 hours after, they said, Osama bin Laden, did this, and man, you had people that were going around jerking people out of cars that were wearing turbans and beating the hell out of them. If not trying to kill them, I mean, and you have, people that are, forgive me, but, they're driving down the road, they're blaring, I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Well, step your ass up. Grab a rifle and step your ass up. Nobody said that. All these people that are, oh yeah, let's go to war. Let me tell you, war's hell. War's not cool. Even when it's necessary, it's not cool. So anybody that oh yeah, let's go out and let's go to war. It's a manly thing to do. Man, come on. This is 2020. Get your vision clear. War is never like, and you damn sure don't go to war on flimsy information and no evidence. I mean, I'm just saying. And on top of that, you don't go to war with a country that didn't do a damn thing to you. They said, it was Afghanistan, it was Osama bin Laden, and you have, these people that are, hey, they're locked and loaded, And next thing you know, the U.S. attacks Iraq. What? I thought Osama bin Laden did this. I mean, did somebody get their guys mixed up or something, Hey, man, it just didn't make sense. And it still doesn't make sense. And I may get a lot of hate messages and everything, but you know what? Go ahead. I get them anyway. I could care less. I'm going to speak it. I'm going to tell it like it is, the way I see it, and I have that right. It's called an opinion. And to a certain YouTube user who, YouTube listener that felt the need to write this lengthy message and about last night's show, and then was a really I'm actually surprised that the man had the brain cells to actually compose a sentence, much less a paragraph that he wrote so eloquently. And then he said, and you're stupid. Well, I thanked him for his opinion and, smiled and just went on my way. One thing about that is when you contact me, when you write something like that and you tell me I'm stupid, whoo, you're a big man. Number one, you're not out here putting your neck on the line to the public, to the world, to every listener, are you? You're safe behind that. You're safe behind that keyboard, and like I said, you're a big man. And for you to just say, I'm stupid. You're stupid. I mean, what are you? Did you get stuck in second grade or something? Anyway, it's not even worth talking about. But I'm just saying, those of you that want to do things like that, don't waste your time, because it just propels me. It just pushes me forward. It does not affect me at all. So, save your breath, save your energy, save all that hate for someone else. That's all I've got to say about that. Let's see. April, you say, why was there an attack on Iran? Jacob, you say the target of the attack was responsible for many American deaths, was planning on killing many more of us. Yes, it was a military leader. Let me pull up the article here. Let's see. And they're really, it says, watch terrifying moment, Iran unveils red flag at mosque, warning of severe battle to come. Now, keep in mind, Iran is ancient Persia. Ancient Persia, where you have probably the oldest existing country on planet Earth. Now, I'm not taking up for Iran. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying that's fact. That's fact. You don't have the, Macedonians. You don't have the army of Alexander the Great. You don't have these countries, nations that have come and gone. Listen, Persia has been around for a long, long time, and yes. April, you say, wasn't that after they were attacked, the raising of the red flag? Yes. Now, it says, Iran has issued a terrifying warning to the U.S. as it raised a red flag over the Holy Dome, Jamkaran Mosque, I'll probably butcher that, but anyway, as a symbol of a severe battle to come. Iran and U.S. tensions are at an all-time high following the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani by Washington in an airstrike. Global leaders have been assessing the magnitude of the situation, with many holding fears of World War III and a destabilization of the Middle East. For the first time in the history of Iran, a red flag was raised over the Holy Dome of the mosque, symbolizing a severe battle to come. The disturbing war flag reads the words, "Those who avenge the blood of Hussein." It says, the leader of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Imam Saeed, on Friday vowed severe revenge in response to the killing of Soleimani. Iranian official, including the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, stressed the Islamic Republic will take revenge for the commander and others killed. The airstrike occurred early on Friday at Baghdad International Airport and killed the Iranian commander as well as other Iraqi commanders. So yeah, this is like big time, you know. And it says international relations scholars have argued that this could see further escalation and ultimately all-out war. Despite growing concern from world leaders, Donald Trump has argued the attack against the general is more likely to have prevented World War III than caused it. President Trump added, the U.S. killing of Iran's top military chief, General Qasem Soleimani, should have been done a long time ago. The U.S. president said, we took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war. Now, the only thing I want to say about that is there's when you look back at what has taken place, and like I said, I'm not taking sides. I'm just speaking facts. I'm just truth. It has been Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, the Prime Minister of Israel, who, by the way, is about to face upcoming elections amidst charges against him of I think bribery, extortion. It's not good. Let me pull that up just to kind of give you a backdrop on what's going on there. He's charged with fraud and breach of trust. Let's see. It says Netanyahu gives up all ministerial portfolios due to corruption charges. Okay, so it says here that Benjamin Netanyahu will be indicted on charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. Okay, so he, let's see, it's the first time in Israel's history that a sitting prime minister faces indictment in criminal investigations. Okay, now, keep that in mind, okay? And when President Trump, when he declared Jerusalem the holy city of the Middle East, and said that they were going to move the U.S. embassy there. That was a huge thing. It was a huge move, and that really infuriated a lot of people, and there were red-blooded Americans that were like, oh man, that really was not a good thing to do. I mean, it's just it's like rubbing salt in a wound. Then you have the Syrian, the attack on Syria, and when the team to investigate to see if these atrocities were taking place, as it was reported by the Syrian president on his own people, before the team could even get there to determine whether or not the allegations were true, hey, they bombed Syria. The hell out of them. I mean, boom, boom, boom. That's before you have evidence, okay? And then what happens is President Trump basically says the Golan Heights, which is a very strategic area in far northern Israel, actually Syria, it was I believe it was something like Israel took that in the 6-Day War, but it's actually Syrian land. I'm not sure on that, but it was something that really set off a lot of tempers and turned a lot of people against Israel. Now, keep in mind that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, was behind all this. He wanted that. He wanted to stir the pot. Why? Because he wanted Syria to do something stupid, like attack Israel. But keep in mind, Syria was not the target. There's someone that backs Syria up, and that is Iran. That's the target. That's who they want. And mark my words, right now, not the United States, okay, but the United States, Israel, this world coalition or whatever, they have taken out Iraq. They weapons of mass destruction. Really? Where were they? Oh, well, we were wrong. We just killed 200,000 Iraqi men, women, and children. George W. Bush, he says, "Oh, we made a mistake." No, you don't make a mistake. You don't make a mistake of that magnitude. You just don't. And I'm sorry, but it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And that's what I will say to my dying day. It is bullshit. That's the only word for it. How can that be an answer when you decimated, absolutely wiped out, 200,000 plus men, women, and children, and, made a mistake, There was nothing there. We didn't find anything. You don't just do that. Okay? Then you have Libya that was taken out, Muammar Gaddafi, and you hear all these things about him, and everything. Let me tell you, do your homework. Do your homework, and you will see that Muammar Gaddafi was about to put the Libyan gold on the market as currency. And let me catch up here. Sorry about that. Jacob, you say, like, Islam wasn't already trying to destroy us by using terrorism. If they were strong enough to fight us face to face, they would have already done so. Right. April, you say, why do a lot of those countries not like the U.S.? Right. I agree. Yes. Hey, Mona. Okay. Thank you. Be careful. So Muammar Gaddafi is planning on taking the Libyan gold, which there was like a massive amount of gold. I'm talking a massive amount. And Jacob or April, if you want to, you can Google that. How much gold Muammar Gaddafi had in Libya, and he was about to put it on the stock exchange or whatever. What would that would have caused the dollar to drop big time. It would have really, really hurt people like Hillary Clinton, people like the Bushes. They would have felt the pain. So what happened? Well, Muammar Gaddafi, Hillary Clinton, she says that he is bombing his own people. So she sends in troops, or, she heads that whole thing up. She sends in troops, and they make him pay. Now, I'm not saying that he was a good guy. I'm not saying Saddam Hussein was a good guy, but I will say this. In countries, or in some places in some countries, you have to have a Saddam Hussein. You have to have a Muammar Gaddafi. You have to have someone that the bad guys fear. You have to have a bad guy that's so bad that they fear this dude. I mean, anyone in Iraq that messed up or, crossed the line or did something that, if Saddam Hussein even so much as called their name during a government meeting, they probably had to go change their pants. I mean, I'm talking, it was absolutely, you did not mess with this guy. I mean, he would have you shot, he would have you executed without a second thought. And you can watch how when he came to power, there were like 25 men that were against him, that were trying to overthrow him or something, or trying to get him out of office. And he stands up and he's as calm as a cucumber. That's what's so creepy about it, And he starts reading names. And each name that he reads, these goons, these guys that are his henchmen, they go over and they take these men, each one that's named, and they lead them outside. To what? A bullet through their head. I'm talking right there. And it was done. And that set the precedent. Saddam Hussein, yeah, he was a bad guy. But when he was when he was over Iraq, you didn't have the type of thing that happened after he was hanged. You did not have that. This brute mentality, these gangs, if you want to call them that.
And same thing in Libya. With Muammar Gaddafi, he was basically the same way. I mean, there was like 30 different groups, 30 different, I don't know if you call them tribes or whatever. Man, they were vicious. But when Gaddafi was in power, they did not do what they did after he was executed. And I'll tell you this, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you've done, I don't care how bad of a person you are, I am not going to laugh at a person being tortured and being killed. I mean, that is a lost life. That is a life that was taken. And Hillary Clinton is actually on video laughing about how Muammar Gaddafi was beaten and was basically sodomized with bayonets. And she's laughing about it. She's laughing about Gaddafi got what he deserved. Well, pardon me, Miss Satan, but, that's not funny. It's not funny. It's not cute. And it just shows what an evil thing that you have where your heart once was or never was. I don't know, but I mean, I can't even. But I'm damn sure not going to laugh about that. I mean, that's horrible. But that gives you a peek into the leaders, their mentality. I mean, man. But what happened is as soon as Gaddafi was executed, tortured, or whatever, what happened? The United States came in and they secured the Libyan gold. Whoa. Okay. That's all I'm saying about that. It's absolutely crazy. Jacob, you say they estimate he had between $100 and $200 million from the Libyan gold he stole. That's just from the stolen gold, not all the money he actually had. But he was the leader of that sovereign country. I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. Who in the hell appointed, and forgive me, appointed the United States to just, go and bomb a country, kill its leader? Listen, there's more there than meets the eye. There's a lot more there than meets the eye. What happened to the gold? What happened to all that gold? Does it say? It just says that the United States secured the Libyan gold. I'm probably going to walk outside tomorrow morning or tonight, and there's going to be like 1,000 red lasers on my chest and face and everything, and probably snipers levitating in the air. But hey, I'm going to tell it. What do you think happened to that gold? I mean, really. Take step back. Look at this from a non-biased. Take yourself out of labels, out of following, out of that you're an American, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, step back, take all those labels off, stand there pure as a human being. What happened? It's pretty much as plain as day. What happened? There was a threat to what? To the value of the dollar. And Gaddafi, they told him, don't do it, back down. He wouldn't. From my research, he would not back down, and they said, okay, we're going to take you out. Now, there was what's his name? General Wesley. Oh man. Let's see. Hold on, just a second. This is going to blow your mind. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Okay. This is it right here. Now I'm going to read this to you. This is from Global Research. Jacob, you say, let's see, April, you say, who did he steal the gold from? Jacob, you say the Libyan gold reserve is where he stole it from. April, you say the U.S. took it. Yes. Well, I'm just saying, that's the question we should be asking. That's the question that everybody should be asking. What happened to all that gold? The only thing that is mentioned that's said is that the U.S. secured it. They were guarding the gold. To me, that's another way of saying we took the gold, people need to wake up. People need to do their homework. They need to learn to read between the lines. We secured it. Yeah, you secured it all right. Does Libya have that gold now? Look at the current conditions in Libya right now. That was tons of gold. And that's, but this is going to blow your mind. This comes from Global Research. General Wesley Clark was is the one that experienced this and was told by Donald Rumsfeld. Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, Vice President, George W. Bush, acting president, said Wesley Clark was just absolutely stunned. Now I'm going to read this Global Research editor's note. This interview serves as a reminder regarding the diabolical timeline of America's project. Is Iran the next target to be taken out? You damn right. You know why? Because Iran is the last standing country that is not under rule or that refuses to bow to the United States and to Israel. I'm sorry. And I'm not anti-Semitic, okay? Now, you people that want to say that I'm anti-Semitic, and trust me, I've seen your comments on Apple Podcasts. By the way, shout out to Apple Podcast. Love you guys, my listeners there. Thank you so much. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the, few people that have made the, comments that I'm anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. Okay? Now, you are speaking completely out of line because the Semitic people include the Egyptians, the Arabs, and the Israelis, of course, yes, and even the group of people that are in Gaza, the West Bank. That's right. Absolutely. The Palestinians. They're Semitic. They speak the Semitic language. Okay, why is it that anybody can say anything about the Palestinians or the Saudi Arabians or any other Semitic people, but the moment that you even raise a question about Israel, you're anti-Semitic? Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, okay, we know who you're working for. And, again, that's bullshit. 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 I don't care how you cut it, it's bullshit. It's a double standard. Okay? Look up the Semitic people and you'll find that it is not just Israel. So tell me why is it that you can say anything, you can make jokes all day long about the Palestinians, about anybody, but the moment you even remotely make a joke or question Israel, oh my God. It is absolutely insane. Do you know that when the hurricanes hit here in Texas a few years ago, it's been about 5 years ago, whatever, Hurricane Harvey, that there were people here in Texas, they had insurance, okay? Their businesses were destroyed, and, they had insurance that was going to pay so they could rebuild their businesses. When the insurance money came in, they were told that before they could receive their insurance money, they would have to sign an oath of loyalty to Israel. What? What in the hell? Are you serious? And they would have to sign an oath of loyalty to Israel before they would be paid their insurance money that they were due. So, all of you that want to, attack me and say that I'm anti-Semitic. Well, not all of you. It was just a few. But anyway, you know, you really, really, really need to look within yourself, and you know, you need to take your nose out of certain places. It's getting kind of brown, you know. Yeah, you need to think for yourself. You know, have you ever walked alone? Have you ever thought for yourself? No, you haven't. You've always been a follower. You've always went along to get along. Well, you know what? Screw that. I'm sorry, but I'm just, you know, I'm just in a mood tonight. I'm happy, and I'm telling it like it is. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if the entire world is marching to the same beat. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Truth is truth and a lie is a lie. Good is good and evil is evil. You know. So that you have that, you know, that they had to sign an oath of loyalty to a foreign country. This is the United States of America. Okay? Do you know that every congressman, every senator, every representative, they must sign an oath of loyalty to Israel before they are sworn in? And I'm not taking up for these two ladies that did not sign it. But man, were they roasted because they did not sign it. Would I sign it? Hell no, I wouldn't sign it. You know why? Because, I'll tell you why. Because look at history. Look at the quotes from the horse's mouth. 9/11. Look it up. 9/11. Benjamin Netanyahu. When the World Trade Centers fell, when the towers fell, when, you know, close to 3,000 people died, lost their lives. You know what Benjamin Netanyahu said? This is a good day for Israel. This will generate sympathy for Israel, or some kind of bullshit like that. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Look it up. Yes, that's fact. All of you that want to say that I'm anti-Semitic, hell no. I'm anti-Netanyahu. I'm not even anti-Netanyahu. I'm anti-asshole. I'm the big shot, you know. And don't be surprised if I get cut off, because, man, I mean, I've had people on here that were listening, and I start talking about Israel, and they say, I'm out of here, man, you're crazy. You damn right I'm crazy. I'm crazy in a good way. I speak the truth, and the truth is Netanyahu is a damn bully. Netanyahu is not what he seems, and Israel, quote-unquote Israel, today is not the true Israel. They're imposters. And it sounds crazy, but do your homework. Do your homework. History, you know, look back. Look back. And you'll see that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, they took advantage of a good situation, and they had the money to do that. they had the money to do. I mean, you're talking about the Rothschilds. Their net worth is, was counted in 2016 as $500 trillion. Whoa. You can only imagine what it is now. Okay. And people are like, okay, well, 1948, biblical prophecy was fulfilled, and Israel became a nation in a day, just like it was prophesied in the Bible. Well, excuse me for not, getting my boxers in a pinch, or, I don't wear panties, but, I'm not getting them in a wad. But what if I told you that was not prophecy being fulfilled? That was rich men and women taking advantage of a good situation that would profit them. And what happened? Well, the case in point, Mona, her dad is part, Palestinian. He was 13 years old when the quote unquote Israelis came and forcibly removed them from their homes. Now, let me tell you something. If you want to read, if you want the truth, you cannot read it and not get sick. Because what these soldiers did, what these Israeli soldiers did to the Palestinians, forcibly removing them from their homes. I'm talking old people, young people. It didn't matter, just like it doesn't matter now. Some were viciously beaten and stabbed to death on their porch. I mean, in their front yard, in their house. Horrible. And it was basically, you're going to have to basically go into a concentration camp because God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we're his chosen people, and he has basically determined that you suck. So get out. Get out of your home. Get off your land. It's our land now because God has chosen us. And how did they do that? Oh my God, they're still doing it. You can have Israeli soldiers, shooting Palestinian kids like 9, 12 years old. For what? For throwing a rock. That's all they have, They're throwing a rock at an Israeli soldier. Israeli soldier takes his rifle and shoots the kid. Boom, dead. If the kid's not shot, or if the person's not shot that throws the rock or whatever, do you know what the prison sentence is? Yes, prison sentence for throwing a rock at an Israeli soldier. 20 years in prison. I'm not making this up. And last year they were talking about why that the Israeli soldiers, why they took, body shots, why they took headshots on, the Palestinians, many of them youth that were climbing the wall, or whatever. And Netanyahu just grins, this evil grin, kind of like that. Netanyahu reminds me of that guy in the Minions, the the what's his name? The one that that was really, really mean, and then he turns into a nice guy. Let me tell you something. Netanyahu's not going to turn into a nice guy. Netanyahu says, and they said, well, they're just climbing the wall. I mean, do you have to kill them? And he said, well, really, yeah. He said, I wish we'd killed more. I'm like, what the hell? The hell is wrong with you? But see, he can say that. Because if anybody says anything against him, it's just like being a pedophile. You're labeled for life. You're anti-Semitic. You're against God's chosen people. You might as well be Satan himself. You might as well be the devil himself. You know what? If that's what you want to call me, go ahead. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Who's with me? Who has the cojones to come out and say, speak the truth? The truth is you go to Israel today, you ask them about Jesus, and they say, yeah, we hate him. Hope he's in hell, like burning in, raw sewage and, and all kinds of stuff, We hate his guts. Wish he was here so we could crucify him again. Yeah. Okay. The Israeli parliament, you have these Christian evangelicals like John Hagee, all 500 pounds of him, 4'5" and 4 foot wide. I mean, he's a walking square. I'm sorry, but can't stand the guy. And I used to listen to him. I went and met him in person. Oh, man. Totally just, oh, my God. Man, this guy's ego, whoa. No way. What does he do? Oh, he is for Kufu, Christians United for Israel, Kufi. And he's raised millions of dollars for God's chosen people. Okay, this walrus, I'm sorry. But you'll understand if you watch the YouTube video. He's on Benny Hinn's show before the invasion of Afghanistan or whatever, or this was when he was praying for the war in Afghanistan. Yes, and they said Dr. Hagee, which, by the way, it's an honorary degree. The guy goes around, Dr. Hagee. Oh my God. Are you serious? Anyway, Benny Hinn says, Dr. Hagee, would you please pray? Benny Hinn, would you please pray the Lord's Prayer, the Lord's blessing, for this war? And John Hagee says, yes, I would be happy to. And he starts to lean forward and he topples back like a Weeblo, and he's losing his balance because, he doesn't practice what he preaches. He gets on his stage and he preaches about, gluttony. Let me tell you something. You don't preach about gluttony when you yourself weigh 500 pounds, and like I said, you're like 5'2". It just doesn't jive. So you know what? Shut your mouth. Sit down. And you that preach about peace and love and everything, and then you say a prayer like you spewed out that was like the most heinous freaking garbage I've ever heard in my life. He says, Father in heaven, we pray we come together, and I'm like, no, we don't. I'm here. I'm listening. And, buddy, I'm not with you. So don't say we come together, to hell with you. We come together and we pray that the troops, the coalition, will drop bombs, yes, bombs, at strategic locations and inflict it was like, literally he was saying, and inflict the most massive amount of carnage and death and dismemberment, to end this quickly. And we pray that the coalition would not be harmed in any way, but that everyone that stands against the United States and Israel will be decimated. And I'm like, and he says, in Jesus' name, amen. And everybody's like, oh, praise the Lord, oh, John Hagee, I'm like, you just prayed that prayer for death on like hundreds of thousands of people, and you ended it in the name of the Prince of Peace. Yeah, John Hagee, you're a Pharisee. You're a liar. You're hand in hand with Netanyahu. You know you are. You even admit it. He says, I have been personal friends of every Israeli prime minister since Menachem Begin. Look up the history of Menachem Begin. Look up the history of the Israeli prime ministers, and you'll find out that they were part of the most sadistic, the most cruel, the most absolutely horrible terrorist organization known to man. I mean, it was just unrivaled. And let me see. And like I say, if I get cut off, that will just prove that I am telling you the truth, because they're guess what? Microsoft, their main product, manufacturing or whatever, has now been moved to Tel Aviv, Israel. Israelis are making our computer software. Now, look it up. Look it up. And you're not going to tell me that that they're not putting back doors and spyware in it. Hell, it was just like last year, 2019, when Israel was caught red-handed spying in the White House. Okay? What did President Trump do? You know what he did? He did what Netanyahu told him to do. Look the other way. Does that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside? Yeah, John Hagee, what a joke. He's like Mike Murdoch. Whoa, my God. Whoa. Send me $1,000 seed and I guarantee God will give you a tenfold harvest from that seed. Just another way to take money from people who really can't afford to give it. Hey, you know what? Even if they could afford to give it, these people need to be brought up on charges of fraud, like, damn, I mean, like if I committed mail fraud or something like that, they would put me under the jail. But like Mike Murdoch and John Hagee and Joel Osteen, all these people, living in these big mansions and not a care in the world, and people, they're not looking at God. They're not looking at the Creator, the Source. The Bible says God is love. The Bible says God is light. God is love. What does John Hagee preach? He preaches hatred. He preaches, if they don't conform, kill them. And I mean, I joke around and everything, on the show and everything, but when it comes to right down to it, I don't care if you are Muslim, I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're atheist, I don't care if you're a Satanist. If you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. If you love me, I'll love you. If you're there for me, I'll be there for you. And what people need to realize is that just because we're told that that you can't speak out against Israel, now don't believe it. You can. Of course, you're going to suffer. Just like here in Texas, there was a school teacher, or she was a speech teacher, speech therapist or whatever, in down by Houston, and she was told, they came into the public school system and said that you got to sign this oath of loyalty to Israel, and she questioned them, and she said, why would I sign an oath of loyalty to a foreign country? And she refused to sign it. And they said, either sign it or you're going to lose your job. She says, well, I'm not signing it. And they fired her. She lost her job because of it. Do you know that as of last year, there are 27 states where anti-Semitism is a crime. You can literally be charged. You can be charged with a crime. People, listen to me. I don't hate anyone. I don't hate anyone. But I do hate scumbags. And I hate people that take advantage of people who are not informed, people that are misinformed, people that have believed the lie. The truth is that let me read to you Menachem Begin was an Israeli politician, founder of Likud, which is what Benjamin Netanyahu also he's a member of Likud. Israeli prime minister who were terrorists and war criminals. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's George Washington, commanded he was the first prime minister of Israel. This is never mentioned. This is never brought up in schools. It's never taught as history. I don't know why. Do you? Oh, imagine if I was a substitute teacher on History Day. Oh, I bet I would be up there for, what, 2 or 3 minutes? And probably be taken down and, David Ben-Gurion, first Prime Minister, Israel's George Washington, commanded the ethnic cleansing of approximately 750,000 Arabs during the destruction of hundreds of Palestinian villages in 1948. Levi Eshkol, the second Prime Minister, Eshkol presided over the ethnic cleansing of another 250,000 Palestinians. I'm talking that, we're talking over 1 million people just in the first 2 Israeli prime ministers in their former years. Jacob, you say God is love, he is also wrath and judgment as well. That's true. That is true. But when you're talking about ethnic cleansing, when you're talking about genocide, is that love? Is that wrath? Is that judgment? I don't think so. That is 100% pure evil. I mean, it is, people who, these people may have had, may have been of the blood, or, had the genetic, the genetics of, people back in the biblical days, but these people, for the most part, they weren't guilty of a damn thing. It's just who they were and where they were. Menachem Begin, the third Israeli prime minister, Begin was the preeminent terrorist in the Middle East, murdering Arabs, Englishmen, and Jews until Ben-Gurion and Eshkol surpassed him. Now, listen to this. Listen to what this says. Was the preeminent terrorist in the Middle East, murdering Arabs, Englishmen, and Jews. Jews. What does that tell you? I'll tell you right now. Look up Google true Jews in Israel, and then look up imposter Jews, Khazarian Jews. And the Khazarian Jews are Netanyahu, those that are in power. The actual Jewish people are in the streets protesting, holding up signs, we do not want a third temple built. This is wrong. This is, this is not right. They're against the ruling elite, Jacob, you are absolutely right. Many people have been killed in the name of God, but that is man's sin, not God's. That's right. April, you say, do you think World War III will be soon, like a lot of people think? Honestly, I don't have an answer to that. I believe that it very well could happen. And if it does, it's like the old, saying, the two biggest dogs on the block, sooner or later they're going to fight. And Iran has an ally that, if the United States is the eagle, Russia's the bear. And I feel like that if the United States attacks Iran, Russia is going to come to their aid. And what you have is you have Trump's not going to back down. Why? Because Netanyahu's not going to back down. Jerusalem, USA lum. Yeah, may just be a coincidence, but how weird. And but get this too. President Trump's right-hand man, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, his parents were personal friends of Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu came to New Jersey, New Jersey, to the Kushner's house, and actually slept in Jared's bed, and Jared had to sleep in the basement. And Jared has been given the task of bringing about a peace treaty between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Whoa. Anybody read the book of Daniel? The book of Daniel says that that there was a little horn talking about the Antichrist. A little horn that came up out of nowhere, speaking great things and just with this charisma, and that he did the impossible. He did what no one else had been able to do in history, and that was bring peace to the Middle East between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And President Trump appointed Jared Kushner to broker that peace treaty. Can you imagine that? I mean, this guy comes out of nowhere, and even his wife, Ivanka, whatever. Actually, she changed her name to Yoel since she adopted the Judaism, and not just regular Judaism. She adopted the Chabad Lubavitch sect of Judaism, which is what is better known as the apocalyptic sect of Judaism, and they want they absolutely want. They think that if they bring about a cataclysm like a nuclear war, that it will force the Messiah to return. Literally. And their Rebbe, their rabbi, he was, this guy was like really, people looked at him like he was the Messiah. And there's on YouTube, look it up, Chabad, it's actually Chabad, but it's pronounced Chabad, Lubavitch, rabbi, confronts Benjamin Netanyahu. This is like in the 80s. And he says, where are we in hastening the return of the Messiah? Like, what the hell? I mean, this little old rabbi is literally asking him, why hasn't the Messiah returned? Why aren't you doing your job? literally. Look it up. Watch it. You'll see. I mean, it's, subtitled, but you'll see. It's creepy as hell. I mean, it's like, yeah. They want to bring about a nuclear war and apocalypse that they believe will force the Messiah to return. But Daniel says that the one that makes the peace treaty between the Israelis and the Palestinians in the Middle East, when nobody else could, he says that will be the Antichrist. He said in the middle of a 7-year peace treaty, after 3.5 years, he will break the treaty and he will attack Israel. He will attack the Holy Land. Now, when we say Israel, you have to remember, you have to look at the buildings in Israel. Every major building there has a name on it, either Rothschild or Rockefeller. Now tell me, okay, if that is God's, chosen land, if that's the land of, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, by the way, sorry to bust your bubble, but Abraham, not of Israel. Abraham was born in Iraq. So, Abraham, yeah, Iraqi. Yeah, kind of sucks for everybody that, well, he was Israeli, or, no, he wasn't. Nope. He was born in Ur of the Chaldees, and that's modern-day Iraq, if not Iran. And but Menachem Begin, okay, number 4, Ariel Sharon, a murderous war hawk. Sharon was responsible for massacres of civilians at Kabaya, Sabra, and Shatilia. Number 5, Benjamin Netanyahu. Bibi caused the deaths and mutilations of thousands of children during operations Cast Lead, Pillar of Defense, and Protective Edge. Yitzhak Shamir. Number 6, Shamir had British and Swedish nobles murdered for seeking to have Palestinian Arabs treated as equals of Israeli Jews. And it goes on and on and on. But they were talking to Menachem Begin. They were doing an interview with him. I think it was Barbara Walters or something. And she said, how does it feel, how does it make you feel to be the father of terrorism in the Middle East? And he looks at her and he smiles and he says, just the Middle East? He's taking credit for the whole damn world. You see, he wants that. He wants that credit. She said, how does it feel? I'll say it again. She said, how does it feel to be the father of terrorism in the Middle East? And he says, Middle East? Huh. How about the world? See, Menachem Begin, David Ben-Gurion, these so-called Israelis, Khazarian Jews, they were responsible for the 1946 or 47 bombing of the King David Hotel. They were dressed up as Arabs. They were going to blame it on the Arabs. They were dressed up as Arabs. But something happened, and something didn't go as planned, and they got caught red-handed. Do you ever hear about that? Do you ever hear about that in history? Do you ever hear about that? That Jim? No, you don't. No, you don't. And you've got people that are saying, I stand with Israel. You know what? You don't even know. You have no idea. It's like don't be a follower. Think for your damn self. You have a brain, you have a mind, use it. I know it's a lot easier to just follow, but for God's sake, get off your ass and think for yourself. And stop this bullshit about, oh, well, I'm going to show my loyalty to Israel. And no, you don't. No, you don't. You show your loyalty to love. Show your loyalty to those who are hurt, those who are hurting, those who are downtrodden, those who are needy, those who are broken. Do you see anybody in the upper ranks of the Israeli parliament that looks broken to you? Hell no. They're the religious fat cats. Yeah. They don't have a care in the world. And I think it's rather amusing that, that Netanyahu, you can tell he's a little bit leery when he's around Vladimir Putin. And I just think that's hilarious. Because he sure as hell is not the least bit nervous or antsy when he's around President Trump. And he damn sure wasn't with President Obama. And damn sure wasn't with George W. Bush. But Putin just, Putin's like, hey, I'm not buying your bullshit. Netanyahu knows it. And I think he knows that he can't intimidate or scare Putin. So he kind of, steers clear of him. Jacob, you say there's something about Israel. Look at how many religions consider it the Holy Land. Well, yeah, true. But there's Mount Zion with a Z, and then there's Mount Sion with an S. And Mount Sion, also known as Syrian, also known as Bashan, also known as Seir, happens to be Mount Hermon, where we go back to the sons of God saw the daughters of men were fair, and took of them wives, any of which they chose, and went into them, and bore children to them, which became mighty men, men of renown, the heroes of old, the Nephilim. But that's what I want to talk about. Is it was people say, oh man, those watchers were bad, look out for the watchers, blah blah blah. Yeah, 200 were bad. I repeat, 200 were bad. Not all the watchers were bad. Just 200. There were good watchers too. Now, the book of Enoch, the Bible, doesn't go into detail, but the book of Enoch does. And it says that that the 200 watchers on Mount Hermon made a mutual oath, and all 200 of them were in on it and were, guilty. They were bad, but there were other watchers that were not on Mount Hermon that are good. And just because, say, your grandfather or your grandmother may have been a murderer or a bad person or whatever, does that make you a bad person? Of course not. If your mom or dad was, a bad person, a murderer, whatever, does that make you a bad person? No, of course not. So, but, so what you have is you have a list of 13 former prime ministers that have absolutely, it's been ethnic cleansing. Yitzhak Rabin signed an order for the children of Lida to be ethnically cleansed quickly without attention to age. Yigal Alon, number 11. Alon served in special night squads which tortured and killed without compunction. Ehud Olmert presided over the 2006 invasion of Lebanon, which killed 13,000 people and displaced more than 1 million others. And it's all about ethnic cleansing, just pure hatred. But back to what we're talking about. I just wanted to set that up. Yes, comes down to Mount Hermon. Imagine that. It just happens to have headquarters at the top of Mount Hermon, the one and only United Nations. You got it. Which I believe if there is a World War III, if World War III starts, it's not going to be like everyone dies, but damn sure going to be crippled. Guess who I believe is going to be on the streets handling things? I don't think it's going to be the United States military. I believe at that point that's going to be the that's going to be the excuse. That's going to be the reason why that a world government will be implemented and the United Nations will take their place. Welcome to the global system of the beast. Oh yeah. And I see that there's 3 people listening now. Oh, I ran everybody off. Oh. Well, at least 3 are here, and I thank God for that. I love all 3 of you. Well, 4 including myself, so. And I've got Bub here somewhere, so April knows who Bub is. Anyway, New World Order. Yes, ma'am, Mona. Thank you very much. Yeehaw! Oh, man. The New World Order. Who predicted that? Who told the world from the Oval Office in, I believe it was 1988, 1989, that there was going to be a New World Order? And he says, not the law of the jungle, but he says, and his eyes are glistening, literally glistening. And you can just see him. He's like almost drooling. Really creepy as hell. And it's like he is in a hypnotic trance. Actually, I thought, hey man, you know, if he split open and like the devil, you know, exited his body like Alien, I would just sit here and I'd be like, hell, it doesn't surprise me, you know. I expected as much. And those of you that saw that live or when you watch the YouTube video, yeah, look up George H.W. Bush and his 1,000 Points of Light speech on the New World Order and it being implemented. And he says, not a system of borders and, you know, countries, but a global society, you know, where man lives in peace and harmony. And I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? You're talking about peace and harmony? Look, bub, you're the one that was in charge of. Did you bomb Iran? No, wait. You're the one that sold weapons to Iran. The Iran-Contra affair. Whoa. How did we forget that? How did we forget that? Everybody's saying, well, Ronald Reagan, you know, he's a great guy and everything. Hey, you know, he's a great guy, but he sold weapons to Iran. You know, possibly just so he could say, oh, they got weapons, let's go bomb them. Who knows? That was that was huge. I mean, the Iran-Contra affair, Oliver North, and man, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But what I'm saying is as far as World War III, Netanyahu wants it. Netanyahu wants the United States to attack Iran. He has for the last 2 years, at least, openly. And let me read you this from Global Research. It says, this interview serves as a reminder regarding the diabolical timeline of America's evil project. Is Iran the next target to be taken out? You're damn right. All these countries are on the Pentagon's drawing board. These 7 countries have been directly or indirectly have been the object of U.S. aggression. America's military agenda has reached a dangerous threshold. The assassination of IRG General Soleimani, ordered by Donald Trump, is tantamount to an act of war against Iran. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark T. Esper described the assassination of General Soleimani as a decisive defensive action while confirming that the operation ordered by Donald Trump had been carried out by the Pentagon. The game has changed, said Defense Secretary Esper. This is Mikhail Chossudovsky, January 4th, 2019. Okay. I'm sorry, 2020. Okay. General Wesley Clark. Now listen to this. Listen to this. If you don't listen to anything else that I say tonight, listen to this. It's General Wesley Clark, retired 4-star U.S. Army General, Supreme Allied Commander of NATO during the 1999 war on Yugoslavia, complete transcript of program Democracy Now! Okay. The host says, today we spend the hour with General Wesley Clark, the retired 4-star general. He was the Supreme Allied Commander of NATO during the Kosovo War. In 2004, he unsuccessfully ran for the Democratic presidential nomination. He recently edited a series of books about famous U.S. generals, including Dwight Eisenhower and Ulysses Grant, both of whom became president after their military careers ended. Well, for the rest of the hour, we are going to hear General Wesley Clark on the possibility of a U.S. attack on Iran, the impeachment of President Bush, the use of cluster bombs, and the bombing of radio television Serbia during the Kosovo War, and much more. And she says, I interviewed Wesley Clark on Tuesday at the 92nd Street Y in New York. Okay. Amy Goodman. She says, today, an exclusive hour with General Wesley Clark, blah, blah, blah. Okay. She says, what do you think of generals who run for president? He says, I like them. It's happened before. She says, will it happen again? He says, it might. And then I'm just going to cut to the chase. Okay. She says, she says, let's see. She says, now let's talk about Iran. You have a whole website devoted to stopping war. General Wesley Clark, his website, www.stopiranwar.com. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? You have a general. You have a general that is experienced. He knows what he's talking about. He's not in this bullshit. His website is www.stopiranwar.com. What does that say? I mean, that in itself, it screams, don't listen to these hypocrites, to these liars, to these, to these powers that be. Amy Goodman, do you see a replay in what happened in the lead up to the war with Iraq, the allegations of weapons of mass destruction, the media leaping onto the bandwagon? Now get that, the media leaping onto the bandwagon. Listen to me. If the devil himself told you something, and the media told you something, you would be better off believing the devil. I'm serious. You really would be. General says, well, in a way, but history doesn't repeat itself exactly twice. What I did warn about when I testified in front of Congress in 2002, I said, if you want to worry about a state, it shouldn't be Iraq, it should be Iran. But this government, our administration, wanted to worry about Iraq, not Iran. I knew why, because I had been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. Okay? Right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and saw Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, sir, you've got to come in and talk to me a second. I said, well, you're too busy. He said, no. He says, we've made the decision we're going to war with Iraq. This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, we're going to war with Iraq? Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So he said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. I'm going to repeat that. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he says, "Oh, it's worse than that." He reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, "I just got this from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office, Donald Rumsfeld, today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me." And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, "You remember that?" He said, "Sir, I did not show you that memo. I did not show it to you." Amy Goodman says, "I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?" She's slick. But he's slicker. He says, "I'm not going to give you his name." She says, "So go through the countries again?" He says, "Well, starting with Iraq, then Syria and Lebanon, then Libya, then Somalia and Sudan, and back to Iran." So when you look at Iran, you say, is it a replay? It's not exactly a replay, but here's the truth. That Iran from the beginning has seen that the presence of the United States in Iraq was a threat. A blessing because we took out Saddam Hussein and the Baathists. They couldn't handle them. We took care of it for them, but also a threat because they knew that they were next on the hit list. And so, of course, they got engaged. They lost 1 million people during the war with Iraq, and they've got a long, unprotectable, unsecurable border. So it was in their vital interest to be deeply involved inside Iraq. They tolerated our attack on the Baathists. They were happy we captured Saddam Hussein. But they're building up their own network of influence to cement it. Then they occasionally give some military assistance and training and advice, either directly or indirectly, to both the insurgents and to the militias. And in that sense, it's not exactly parallel because there has been, I believe, continuous Iranian engagement, some of it legitimate, some of it illegitimate. I mean, you can hardly fault Iran because they're offering to do eye operations for Iraqis who need medical attention. That's not an offense that you can go to war over, perhaps, but it is an effort to gain influence. And the administration has stubbornly refused to talk with Iran about their perception, in part because they don't want to pay the price with their domestic, our U.S. domestic political base, the right-wing base, but also because they don't want to legitimize a government that they have been trying to overthrow. If you were Iran, you'd probably believe that you were mostly already at war with the United States anyway, since we've asserted that their government needs regime change, and we've asked Congress to appropriate $75 billion to do it, and we are supporting terrorist groups, apparently, who are infiltrating and blowing up things inside Iran, and if we're not doing it, let's put it this way, we're probably cognizant of it and encouraging it. You're damn right. So it's not surprising that we're moving to a point of confrontation and crisis with Iran. My point on this is not that the Iranians are good guys, they're not, but that you shouldn't use force except as a last resort. There is a military option, but it's a bad one. She said, I wanted to get your response to Seymour Hersh's piece in The New Yorker to 2 key points this week, reporting the Pentagon's established a special planning group within the Office of Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a bombing attack on Iran, and this coming as the Bush administration and Saudi Arabia are pumping money for covert operations into many areas of the Middle East, including Lebanon, Syria, and Iran, in an effort to strengthen Saudi-supported Sunni Islam groups and weaken Iranian-backed Shias. Some of the covert money has been given to jihadist groups in Lebanon with ties to Al-Qaeda, fighting the Shias by funding with Prince Bandar, and the U.S. money was not approved by Congress funding the Sunnis connected to Al-Qaeda. Okay, he says, well, I don't have any direct information to confirm it or deny it. It's certainly plausible. The Saudis have taken a more active role. You know, the Saudis have. She said, you were just in Saudi Arabia. He says, what? And she said, you just came back from Saudi Arabia. He says, yes. Well, the Saudis have basically recognized that they have an enormous stake in the outcome in Iraq, and they don't particularly trust the judgment of the United States in this area. We're talking about the Saudi Arabia doesn't particularly trust the judgment of the United States in this area. We haven't exactly proved our competence in Iraq, so they're trying to take matters into their own hands. The real danger is one of the reasons this is so complicated is because, let's say, we did follow the desires of some people who say, just pull out and pull out now. Well, yeah, we could mechanically do that. It would be ugly, and it might take 3 to 4 months, but you could line up the battalions on the road one by one, and you could put the gunners in the Humvees and load and cock their weapons and shoot their way out of Iraq. You'd have a few roadside bombs, but if you line everybody up, there won't be any roadside bombs, maybe some sniping. You can fly helicopters over, do your air cover. You'd probably get safely out of there. But when you leave, the Saudis have to find someone to fight the Shias. Who are they going to find? Al-Qaeda. Because the groups of Sunnis who would be extremists and willing to fight would probably be the groups connected to Al-Qaeda. And he goes on and on and on. But he talks about the Iran-Contra scandal of the 1980s and how that weapons were sold to Iran, which I'm sure they still have, you know. But out of those countries, out of those sovereign countries, those 7 sovereign countries, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Iran is the last one standing. And it has been just like, people, please listen to me. Do not believe the media. Do not believe that bullshit. It is bullshit. It's lies. And trust me, they can twist it. Just like when 9/11 happened. What did they show? They showed the Palestinians dancing in the street, celebrating that 3,000 Americans were wiped out, right? They're dancing in the street, and people are like, oh my God, we've got to kill them, kill them, they're laughing about it, look at that woman, she's actually dancing and she's laughing. Do you know that footage, look it up on YouTube, that footage had absolutely nothing to do with the Palestinians reacting to the 9/11 attacks. It was from a video that was taken like 8 to 10 years previous, where the Israeli soldiers were giving the Palestinians candy for them to dance for them. Kind of playing around, but definitely with an ulterior motive. They were going to use that, like they did use it, and incite hatred against the Palestinians who didn't do a damn thing. The woman and the people were dancing because they were being given candy 8 to 10 years prior to the 9/11 attacks, and then this is shown on every worldwide media. Look at these heartless Palestinians dancing in the street. Here we are. We've, 3,000 people dead in one day, and they're dancing in the street about it. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. But people have been programmed and been conditioned that if you see it on the media, if if the reporter reports it, by God, it has to be true. No, it doesn't. You ever heard of Wag the Dog? Let me tell you. Yeah, that wasn't just a movie. That's a fact. Anyway, well, man, I did not expect this to go this way, but I could keep on, but I think I've gone long enough raving, but hopefully not a lunatic. And if I am, hey, at least I was a lunatic for what I believed in. And so, again, I hope that I don't, get hate mail and, this, but it won't surprise me if I do. But anyway, just, keep in mind that World War III has been feared, and supposedly we were on the brink of it, several times, probably more times than that. We just weren't told. But there's a lot of bad in the world, a lot of evil, if you will, but never forget that there's good too. And know yourself, know your heart, and live in love and light, and love and light, yes, but sometimes you got to kick some ass. I mean, sometimes you have to stand your ground. Just like people say, Jesus was meek and mild, and well, the Bible I read, Jesus basically he kicked some ass in the temple and made a whip of cords and flipped over the money changer's table and put that whip to good use and drove them out. That doesn't sound too meek to me. So it makes me feel a lot better about myself. But anyway, so one of my friends this person that I like, he about last night's show, he said I feel like that you're that you're not informed, or you're afraid to speak out on topics. Well, my friend, if tonight does not prove that to be completely not the case, I don't know what would. Because, I might wake up tomorrow and my whole show might be gone off of. I'm on 200 plus platforms now. I might wake up tomorrow and hell, I might be gone off every one of them. I might be gone off YouTube. I don't know, but you know what? No regrets. Because at least it's out there. And there's a lot more to it, believe it or not. A lot more to it. And let me know. Send me an email at thetextualsistpodcast@gmail.com. And let me know if you want to continue this topic. Hell, I'm on fire. So, April, thank you. This is a great show. I appreciate you taking your time to do these. Well, I love doing them, and I thank you for being a part and participating. Mona, Jacob, and those of you who were listening and didn't take part, hey, love and light to you too. But anyway, those of you that do know me and are friends with me on Facebook, you can just message me anytime. Let me know yay or nay about if you want to continue this topic, this very complex topic, and we'll certainly do it. Anyway, please do a search on Facebook, the Textualist Podcast group, and join our group. Would appreciate that. Please hit the like button if you like the show, if you liked this episode tonight, and please follow me on Spreaker. Tell your friends, your family, your enemies, and those you don't even know yet about the show, and what it means to you. Anyway, love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.